Jared, there's not a budget because we don't know. We're not starting from scratch.
That's true.
All right. So there's no way any of us can even begin to figure out or to come up with an estimate as to what it might cost to take everything that's been done so far and complete it. What the interviews, what the estimates, what the bids from the planners who respond to the RFP once it is finalized and sent out will do is it will give everybody a range of what the costs might be and what the budget might need to be. We may need to have to edit things at that time or shift things around or think about things differently. But there's no way for anybody to know what the costs are going to be because we're not starting from the beginning. We're not hiring a planner who's going to start with nothing and create a comprehensive plan where he or she knows exactly what you do this, and this step, because many of the steps have already been done. So that's what the point of this estimate is.
I'm just concerned that this could get out of hand.
Well,
and I was wondering if the town board has the approval of this so-called consultant that they're hiring.
yes.
Or is it just the master plan
A
committee?
consultant is never hired by a committee. A consultant, we may take the recommendation of a committee. A consultant, anybody who is paid by the town, is hired by the town board.
Yeah, excellent.
All right? So, now, Bill, are you saying that if they simply added hourly fees there and/or hourly fees, that would cover your concern, and they might get a lot of different kinds of responses, but you could certainly weed them out and decide what to do about them?
It's a question, I think, of how you want to structure your RFP. If you want to segment it, you want to be able to get more items, maybe you go with a fixed fee and send it out as it is and see what comes back. I think it appropriate to get a wide range, at least for the consideration of this. The other concern I just have is the last couple of lines talks about negotiating with the people that respond to it. I'm just concerned, it's not a formal bid, it's an RFP, but I just don't want to have it open-ended that somebody submits an RFP and then you start to negotiate with them and somebody comes back and says, well, wait a minute, I bid on this and now you're going at a different rate. So I think you just need to be very careful when you talk about negotiating contract terms is a different issue than negotiating contract pricing after an RFP. If you're going to go for an RFP, I think you got to be ready.
So if they wanted to, let me just ask one question then, Carol. If they wanted to negotiate, they would have to negotiate with everybody. If an issue came up where they said, well, we'd like to really find out more about this particular segment that was bid on, they would have to negotiate with everybody they would have to present that to everybody.
I'd be concerned about singling out one person and then changing that.
So if they could say and/or negotiate scope and fees with all responding consultants if necessary?
Or even to re-advertise or send out a further RFP at that point.
May I make a comment? If the preference of the committee is to bid it as a total job, would it not, and there have been positive responses doing that in other communities with a range of applicants in terms of price, although it would delay the work of the committee, would it be possible for us to just go ahead and have it bid out that way, and then if we get a poor response, we have to change that and rebid it, and that would delay the committee?
Technically, if you're considering this as part of professional services, and the term professional services is a very, it's an issue that you need to look at qualifications and other items. I think this probably will fall under professional services, but you really need to see what the responses are. And if that case, you are exempt from the formal bidding requirements that you would be for the dollar amounts. I'm assuming that the dollar amounts are going to be in excess of $10,000, which would obviously, if it was just a product type services, then we'd have to be formally bidding it. That language as a negotiation, that has me a little concerned, just simply because it leaves open the door that you could, once you get the information, then try to change what's being asked for.
Okay, so can we do this? Can we add a statement in here that also asks them to just quote their hourly fee? Not for the whole project, just quote their hourly fee, right? And let me understand, I'm not sure the difference of what this consultant, because it's not an hourly fee. If we wanted to negotiate, even if it were a price, with anybody, would we have to do it, say we had 10 people who responded, and we have a subcommittee that would get that down to 4 people we interviewed, right? Should we go back to the 10 people and go through all of them again, or could we go to the 4 people that we've identified as the key people to do any kind of negotiations with? And I understand, Bill, you can't negotiate with one without.
Right. Once you send out an RFP and you get a response, that technically is your, that's your contract. You've sent it out, you've gotten it back, you choose among that. I think the best practice would be then to, if you don't like what you got, put it back out for an RFP and maybe either further identify your scope better, your specifications better. You could probably then do that to the ones who were considered as your direct ones, but I would still leave it as, if you're asking for an open public issue, you've always got the option, if you are quote-unquote bidding it for the lowest responsible bidder, for whatever reason that might be. With an RFP, when you don't have to do a formal bid, I think what you could, you may want to qualify that the town, considers this to be a contract for professional services, and therefore, may not be required to follow the monetary policy under general municipal law. You could even, do that if you want to state that, but I would my recommendation would be to take out the negotiation language in it and see what you get, and then ask the question going forward. You might get your answer, you might find your consultant, and then you never have to deal with it. So that's much cleaner.
In the hourly amount.
I would say as an alternative, or for additional information, we would like to know your hourly rate.
And take out the negotiation.
So we're going to put another statement that we're asking for a fixed fee cost. We put in a statement that says, additionally, please provide an hourly rate for your services.
Correct, and a breakdown for different personnel working, or different, because you want to get a breakdown for, the lead, the junior, the document prep, or whatever else.
And you know what we did? We identified when they invoiced us to tell us who was, and so I think we should have put that in another column altogether. And that's what the other towns did. We didn't plagiarize this, but we borrowed some of it.
They should reserve the right to reject any and all proposals.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
But take out the negotiation stuff.
And whole or in part. So you could decide,
In
for
part.
instance, if someone came back with an offer, say, on what you need to do right away, and it looked good, and everything else was way out of the ballpark, you might adopt that and then say, once we get that done, we'll have a better idea of what we need to do. For instance, I'm not saying, you could look at the master plan and say, everything's good, as we have it, we don't need to go any further. And then you stop, or we need to do X, which may be a very small subset, or it could be, we need to do everything. So you're not going to really know what you're going to do until you get there.
And the committee